Okay, well, most of my favorite 2D games are from my youth. Probably Super Mario Brothers 3 / Super Mario World. I just love the different paths that you could take, the amount of variety with the enemies, the styles. I can't really think of anything those two games did wrong. Probably Mortal Kombat 2. Aside from the fighting game mechanics, the way that they did the backgrounds, the color scheme, the art style, the music and storyline added a sense of mystery that I haven't really felt in another game. You always felt that there was another secret to unlock if you just kept playing. And of course, Zelda 3 had a good blend of puzzles, action, and environment. So my very first inspiration, well, let's say for Alpha Squad, for instance, would probably be Smash TV. I brought in the room-to-room navigation that's present in that game. And of course, I liked a lot of the old arcade games and the old Nintendo games, and they're a little more difficult than games nowadays, a little less forgiving. One hit, one kill, lack of continues. I also like the old days of having someone you may or may not know drop into your game, like in the arcade style play, so I added that into the game as well. I like to give some kind of value to the customer when you're buying a product. I like to give when you think of movie tickets nowadays, what, $10 for 2 hours and you can't relive the moment. I just like giving the amount of value. $3 for Alpha Squad, you get multiplayer, you get at least a 5-hour main storyline, and you have the online play. It's replayability, it's fun moments that you can talk about with your friends after the game, and just kind of have like an inside jokes and things related to the game. Just outside of just playing it, just having stuff to relive with your friends. Well, this game was pretty ambitious, but there's a lot that sets it apart from the 1,600 plus games on the indie channel and in terms of the mainstream market in general. In Alpha Squad, we pushed a lot of different aspects to their limit. We pushed the limit on the allowable content. We pushed the Xbox pretty hard as far as 2D games go with the textures and effects. We ran the file size limit for indie games up to the maximum. We put in online multiplayer features that are rarely seen in indie titles. We added different things like alternate endings and a storyline, which is never seen in any type of dual-stick shooter genre. And of course, the soundtrack is top-notch. You won't find anything like that in the indie channel. And even after all of this, there was even more that I would like to have added. So we've really just pushed the limit on just about every aspect of the game. Well, I have a bachelor's degree in technical communications. I previously have done a lot of business programming for different companies, but none of that really helped with game development. It helps to understand some of the programming concepts, but game development has so many different disciplines and principles that they don't really cross into general everyday applications. And I have quite a bit of real-world project management experience, and it allowed me to hold the game together despite all the roadblocks. So I think that probably helped the most. Well, there was hardly anybody working with me stateside. I had a couple of contractors working for me, but they dropped off the project. So literally, it was just me working with a bunch of different guys from 9 different countries. For artists, I had a few different guys working around the world, like one artist in India doing the character sprites, one guy in China working on the icons, another guy on the backgrounds in Sweden, etc. I did general programming such as the level loading system, the game state manager, user interface, and assistance on a bunch of different areas. I had one main programmer working on the effects engine, and another programmer working on the networking and multiplayer features. And they also crossed over to different other aspects that needed to be filled in. There was a program that was working specifically on the AI, but he had to drop off the project, and I had to fill in doing whatever additions I could do on the system. Level design was also my responsibility. I had the background artist create 19 backgrounds, and using the assets, the trees, and the buildings, I used those to create the remaining 200 plus screens for the game. Like I said, for the majority of the project, there was no one working with me in the United States. Everything was filtered through me while I was working with individuals from 9 different countries, all through email. Well, I knew exactly what artist I wanted for the character portraits the minute I came up with that overly testosterone-driven game. Genzo Man is a really well-known artist, and his style accentuates and evokes raw emotions and features in a scene that it has a really unique blend between a Western art style and an anime art style, and it's pretty unique online. If you see any of his images, you know immediately who the artist is. The rest of the artwork, such as the sprites, the background artist, and the rest of it, all of that was whoever I could find available. I mean, I'm just a startup studio. I don't have the pick of the litter, so to speak, on that aspect. Well, there are a few different technical issues that we needed to overcome, but nothing sticks out on my mind more than the networking feature. The networking on Xbox Live, for any titles, very few have even tried it. It's really difficult to test all the variations and issues that can pop up once your game is in the wild. But aside from that fact, there was an issue in the framework itself that we were using in the XNA 3.1 library, and it was never fixed, and it dealt directly with what feature we wanted to add into the game, the online drop-in gameplay. We needed to create an entire workaround just for this issue, and we didn't find out about it until after release, so it was a pretty grueling 2 weeks until we could get the patch out. Yeah, most of the contractors that I work with didn't have an Xbox and a PC to test with, so some guys who were working, let's say, on the graphical engine, we would do the particle effects based on the PC performance, and then bringing it over to the Xbox, really brought it down to a crawl. So we used to, I had to test a lot of the Xbox ability, and send that data back to the PC developer, and then he'd send it back to me, and I would test it, and it was back and forth because we had really limited resources among all of us to try to complete this game, and it was pretty ambitious. Well, right now I'm still working on some tweaks and additions to Alpha Squad. The game already has more than enough content to justify the $3 price point, but I'm trying to add as much to the package as possible before I move on to the next project. And I haven't really started on the next project yet, but I'll need to see what kind of budget I have to work with after the Microsoft quarterly payouts come in. One thing's for sure, that it'll be a completely different genre, it'll be non-shooter related, and that's all I can say now for it.